This is how we connect patients using LFX only without Collodion at Evelina Children's Hospital to record telemetry, inpatient and home telemetry. First of all, we have Surgifix 5.5, new prep, skin preparation, LFX conductive paste, Tensoplast, this is just an elastic plaster, Hyperfix, and something called K-band. This kind of bandage, this width is 15 centimeters. Okay, so assuming we have made the measurements, we are now going to prepare the skin, cotton bud with some new prep. Just rub the skin as you normally would. It's important at this stage to make sure that the new prep is left to dry and you don't try and apply an electrode with LFX over the wetly or fresh pasted skin. So we'll let that dry and we'll do the whole head first of all. So I am going to continue to rub the rest of these electrodes and we'll move on to the next stage. Okay, the skin has been prepared, all of the sites are dry and freshly abraded. So now I'm going to apply the electrodes. We use a fair amount of adhesive. You can see this here. We apply it to the scalp by a fine spread. This ensures that the stump of the electrode also makes contact with the adhesive, and if there is any pull on the electrode, it pulls this way and stays in contact with the skin. I'll just shift that back to its original location. We use some Hyperfix. Apply to the electrode, press it down firmly, make sure the Hyperfix also sticks to the stump. You can see that's quite tight there now. All the electrodes should follow a general pattern aimed towards the back of the head. And put another one on. Again, a fairly large amount. Remember, this has got to last 2 or 3 days. Again, bit of a spread down and on. Now, as my subject doesn't particularly want to have a full set of electrodes applied to her scalp, I'm going to stop there. I'll add one more, and again this is tight. You can just push it over the hair, separate the hair, and we'll add one more to this. This one. Again, heavier around this area where the electrode is going to sit, but a thin smear that runs backwards. It sits in there. Run your fingers either side of the lead. Again, we've got 3 leads on there, all quite tight. Okay, this, I'd like to reiterate, this isn't a full set of electrodes. I've only stuck 10 on for the benefit of this video. But what we would do is then grab the leads. I'm sure many departments do this anyway. So just grab the leads, bunch them all together in one direction. Make sure that no leads are riding across the ear. That could become a little bit painful when you add the bandage. Bunch the leads together. Go to the bottom of here and give it a little bit of slack. So there's some slack up here and there's no tension on these leads. And then gather the electrodes together and wrap round. And you have all the electrodes have a fair amount of slack on them, ready for the bandaging. Okay, this is the Surgifix, and this is what it looks like out of the box. We take around 1 meter. And cut this off. That's the 5.5. Should you get any children with very small heads, maybe microcephalic, you could move it down to 4.5. Make a small cut. Get a little fork at the end, and then you can pull this apart in equal amounts. So you end up with 2 towels coming down from the net. Okay, this then goes over the top of the head, and these will be the chin straps. You grab it, put it apart with the hands, and over the head. Okay, so the head is now fully covered. It doesn't stop there. You can still see that there's a fair amount of tension here. We'll resolve that in a second. Probably need to reduce a little bit of this, cut some off the top, twist it round. As you grab these, take them under the chin and tie a knot there. This is pushed up into the bandage. Again, you retain a good deal of slack there. Twist the bandage round, over the top again. And with the second layer, you can make a hole here, just tear it apart. Make a big hole. And this becomes a loop where you can take the remaining chin strap and pull that one down again. And do the same on this side. Make a hole there, through and down. Tie a knot underneath the chin. And remove any excess. You can Okay, there's a little bit of excess here around the eye socket, so you can cut some of this away and it opens up the bandage so as not to irritate around the eye. The same on this side. So this is the head as we see it, and the ear, make sure the ears are pinned backwards and they're not folded forward. We'll have to add more bandage to this. This patient actually has earrings in. We'd advise that those are removed before you put the bandage on. Next step, this is the K-band, 15 centimeters. With the bandage we start and we go over the top and under the chin. As you go under the chin, twist it round once, over the top again, and at this point cut in with your hand and start to wrap around the circumference of the skull. And we're going just above the eyebrows. And on the second loop, quite an important factor to take in, on the second loop go round underneath the leads and wrap around. This way, if the patient pulls the leads, they are just pulling at the leads and the bandage, and it's not to the detriment of the electrodes on the scalp. Always try and go low as well, below the occipital bone. And round, and just keep going round until the bandage runs out. Okay, at this stage, start to wrap around with the plaster. And round. And cut through this, just one loop of the head, and then one over the top. So we take the plaster down and affix it to the plaster was wrapped around the circumference. Cut through, and you then go laterally from one side to the other. Cut through. Again, this is stuck to the lateral side, and again here. You then proceed to tie these up. Some may prefer to use net elaster around the length of the electrodes. I just do 6 or 7 or 8 of these wraps just along the length of the leads, like that. So this is tight on the head. And if you move the head backward, you can see there's just a cross shape over the top. Some patients might be a little bit difficult, and particularly patients with long hair, I'll probably use a second wrap. Again, but this time, should the patient have long hair, this has to be fed through and separated from the hair. And if you have a thick mane of hair running down the back here, you take this bandage and always go underneath the hair, and it stops the bandage from riding up the scalp. So if the patient complains that it's a little bit too tight, you may have to run through the procedure again and modify it slightly just to make it more comfortable for them. Just round and round. You can add another loop in, whatever you feel like it. Again, just pulls on the bandage. And again, just repeat the taping process as before. Just around the head. And sometimes go below the loom of electrodes coming out of the back. And I won't repeat the whole taping episode over the top again. And this will be it. The electrodes are very tight, you can't move them. Have a chin strap. And from the chin strap you can make the modifications to the bandage. Lift it up slightly, fold it up away from the brow. A lot of it is aesthetics, can look a bit better. The chin strap can be a little bit tight. You can pull on this just to loosen it up for the patient.
Yeah,
just put it down and you can feel it's a little bit looser there. And again, if the patient wears spectacles, you have full access to the side just by pulling out the electrodes there and feeling for the top of the ear. A little bit more difficult than putting them on normally. If they want to wear headphones, they can't wear earbuds. You find that the chin strap is one of the things that irritates the most, and we find that patients often will pull the chin strap and either sort of put it on the chin or even pull the chin strap high enough so it goes up and sits on the forehead. Usually that's after a day or two, by which time they've kept it on for a couple of days. And I think that's about it. The next stage will be showing how to do the disconnection. We've finished the recording now. We've captured 24 seizures and we can stop the recording. These are disposable electrodes. Maybe I didn't add that at the beginning. We take the electrodes, ambu electrodes, and we cut through. Cut through the electrodes. We're then left with this dangling from the patient's head. Removing the bandage is a fairly easy process. It's usually done at home by the parents. They'll either just take the whole lot off in one go or cut through, as I'm going to do here, and just reverse the whole process. We've had children rip the whole lot off, but I think those are the kind of children that would have ripped the whole lot off if it was applied with collodion. Significant behavioural problems. Just one layer off. Around. And we have had patients take the bandage off. It can be difficult for some and they couldn't cope, but we find that simply by using the method of application, more often than not we will get a very good quality recording with the net just like this, or even completely removed. It can come off like so. And the electrodes are still on quite tightly. It will take a little bit of water to get these off, and that's what we advise the parents to use at home Obviously there's not a full set here, you can still see they're stuck on quite well. So I will get some water, work this in. Clean off the paste. There you go. So they can be removed quite easily, not by pulling. It is by physically trying to remove them. So you can pull, pull, pull. It's not until you try and remove them they can be removed. The method isn't for everybody, but we found it works. We'll continue to use it. We've done over 300 patients now, possibly 2 or 3 where the children have pulled the wires off. And we use this in the adult section as well, this method. It's a lot more patient friendly and without the use of the chemicals involved with collodion application and electrode removal. If we do the longer term recordings, maybe 5 days, 7 days, probably around day 3, we'll go in, remove the bandage, check the electrodes again. May last about 30 minutes, 45 minutes, just to make sure all the electrodes are as good as they were on day 1. A small sacrifice of time for the comfort of the patient.